Rice. Roughly one half of the world population, including East and Southeast Asia, is wholly depends on rice as a staple food. 95% of the world's rice crop is eaten by humans. So, do you know where does rice come from? And how does rice come from? Let's study about the reproductive process and breeding of paddy plant. Paddy flowers are very small. Both male and female reproductive organs located within the same flower. They do not rely on insect pollination because they are self-pollinating. After successful pollination, the flowers develop into grain-bearing structures known as panicles. Paddy breeding is very important to develop new varieties of paddy plant, including increasing global food demand, climate change, emerging pests and disease, and many more. Breeding itself aims to improve traits such as yield potential, grain quality, resistance to biotic and abiotic stresses, and many more.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Shifat binti Hasni. From the older times until today, there are many breeding types of paddy. Now, breeding technologies are developed to improve rice varieties for higher yield, disease resistant, and overall quality. There are three types of conventional breeding, which are the conventional breeding itself, hybrid rice breeding, and marker-assisted selection (MAS). In conventional breeding, we will collect the paddy genetics first from different regions. Then when we will select the parents based on their desired traits, then we will do cross-pollination by transferring pollen from the male parent to the female parent, and then we will harvest and dry the seeds. Then, the harvested seed will be evaluated for its performance, and we will do back crossing to obtain specific traits while retaining desirable characteristics of the hybrid. Then we will do field testing in larger field trials and yield trial. And finally, the seed will be released for further evaluation and made available for farmers. For hybrid rice breeding, we will choose the parental lines, which is the male parent, pollen donor, and female parent, which is seed parent. Then we will induce male sterility in the female parent to prevent self-pollination and to encourage outcrossing with the male parents. Then we will collect fertile pollen from the male parent, and we will do cross-pollination but in a controlled environment. For market-assisted selection, first we will identify the target trait or traits of interest such as disease resistance, higher yield, and then we will develop the molecular markers through DNA sequencing or genetic mapping such as SSRS, SNPs, and others. Then we will do marker screening by using previous marker by extracting DNA from the plant sample and using the PCR technique. Then we will determine the association between the presence and absence of markers using statistic analysis. Then, based on the marker data, the individual with desired marker will be selected, and we will do field testing, and the seed will be released.
This is a general summary of how genetic engineering is commonly used in crop improvement, which may be applicable to paddy. First, identification of target traits. The first stage in genetic engineering is to determine the precise traits or features that researchers want to introduce or modify in the rice plant. These characteristics can include increased yield, improved nutritional content, disease resistance, and tolerance to environmental conditions. Second, gene isolation. Once the target traits have been discovered, scientists look for genes that are responsible for those qualities. Third, gene modification and transformation. After identifying the target gene, scientists change it in the laboratory to enhance or introduce the desired features. Fourth, plant genome insertion. The modified gene is subsequently put into the paddy plant's genome. Next, selection and regeneration. After the changed genes have been introduced, the transformed cells are selected and cultivated in a suitable growth medium. Sixth, field trials and evaluation. The regenerated plants are rigorously tested and evaluated in the controlled feed settings. Seventh, regulatory approval. Before a genetically modified crop can be licensed for commercial cultivation, it must be subjected to regulatory examination to guarantee its safety for human consumption and the environment. Last but not least, commercialization. If a genetically modified paddy variety successfully completes the regulatory licensing process, it can be allowed for commercial cultivation. Farmers can then choose to grow these genetically modified rice types as long as they follow any laws or standards imposed by the relevant authorities.
MARDIP stands for Malaysian Agricultural Research and Development Institute, plays a significant role in the paddy industry, Malaysia, by conducting research, developing technologies, and also providing technology expertise to enhance productivity, sustainability, and also profitability of paddy, as you can see here at the news. Next, we move to paddy nutrition. What kind of nutrition that paddy needs? Paddy gets its own nutrients from the soil. Nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium are the micronutrients that the paddy needs. Meanwhile, sulfur and calcium are the micronutrients. Nitrogen is one of the most important nutrients in paddy. Nitrogen affects all parameters contributing to yield. Thus, a sufficient nitrogen supply is necessary for achieving high yields of paddy. At the same time, nitrogen deficiency is the most commonly detectable symptoms in rice yield. If you can see at the picture at the right side is the paddy yield with nitrogen deficiency and the left side is the normal paddy. Paddy also needs phosphorus and its major functions are in energy storage and transfer. It is particularly important in early growth stage of membrane integrity. Next is potassium. As macronutrients has among other functions in osmoregulation, enzyme activation, regulation of transpiration by stomata, and the transport of assimilase. Potassium provides strength to plant cell walls as it is involved in the lignification of sclerenchyma tissues. Sulfur is one of the most important nutrients contained in the plant hormones, which are thymine and biotin that involve in carbohydrate metabolism. Meanwhile, calcium important for the build-up and functioning of cell wall membranes and the strength of cell walls.
Okay, so other than the nutrients that have been mentioned by the previous presenter, there are also other nutrients that needed by paddy, either naturally or from the fertilizer itself. So there are magnesium, iron, zinc, and also boron in this slide. So the first one is magnesium. It is required in relatively small quantities, and its deficiency in soil is felt later than in potassium. And then iron, it is essential for the synthesis of iron chlorophyll, whereas zinc is essential for the conversion of carbohydrates and acts as a metal activator of enzymes in plants. Its deficiency in lowland paddy occurs near natural to alkaline soil, especially in calcareous soils. And then boron, it facilitates the translocation of sugar by creating a sugar borate complex. It's involved in many kinds of processes such as fertilization and hormone metabolism. Okay, next, copper. Copper is important component of plastocyanin, which is a copper-containing protein and also a component of many oxidizing enzymes. So copper is essential for reproductive development, and also the root will help in metabolism and also protein utilization. Next is manganese. Manganese is a nitrate inductase and also activator of many respiratory enzymes. It is essential for photolysis, which is the evolution of oxygen during photosynthesis, and also it works with enzyme system that involve in the breakdown of carbohydrates and also nitrogen metabolism. Okay, the last one is silicon. Silicon is important element in improving plant health and disease resistance. It has potential to significantly reduce the susceptibility of plants to both biological and abiotic disease, and is very beneficial for rice cultivation. One of the best fertilizer for rice growth is of course organic fertilizer. So the example of it are animal dung like cow, goat, also green manure and rice husk. So in these fertilizers, they contain substances that increase the amount of carbon in soil at different stages, and it will cause the global carbon content of soil is 3 times as much carbon at the atmosphere. Thus, even a small change in soil management techniques like adding organic materials has the potential to significantly reduce human GHG emissions from rice production. Other than that, there is also chemical fertilizer that is called NPK fertilizer. So this kind of fertilizer contains 3 elements that are very important for paddy. So there are nitrogen, phosphorus, and also potassium inside these fertilizers. So there is a common paddy fertilizer application scheme or strategy that is usually used by a large number of farmers, which is involved two major applications for fertilizer. So for the first application is they apply 0.5 tons of NPK, 30-10-10 per hectare, on the day of planting or after 20 days of planting. And then for the second application, on approximately 45 to 60 days after the first application, they will apply about 0.2 to 0.3 tons of NPK 4000 or 3300 per hectare. So that's all from us. Thank you so much for listening our presentation.